Phillips.
Yeah, here.
Stricker.
Here.
McCarrigan. Here. Solomon.
Here.
Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For public information, a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is available for review above. Tom? Notice of changes in the agenda by the city clerk. Additions may not be made to this agenda less than 24 hours before the beginning of the meeting unless added under item 5 of this agenda.
No changes.
Citizens with business not scheduled on the agenda as required by state law, no matter may be considered under this item unless council determines that the matter requires emergency action. Have any emergency action? Okay. Closed session. Council reserves the right to enter into closed session if deemed necessary if the item is on the agenda as per section 84-1410 of the Nebraska Revised Statutes. Public comments. The purpose of this agenda item is to allow for public comment of items for potential discussion at a future council meeting. Comments brought to the council are for information only. The council will not take any action on the item except for referring it to staff to address for placement on a future council agenda. This comment period is limited to 3 minutes per person. Have any public comments? Consent calendar. Items in the consent calendar are proposed for adoption by one action for all items unless any member of the council requests that an item be considered separately. Any questions or comments on the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve consent calendar.
Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other comments, questions? Okay,
Phillips.
Yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
McCarrigan.
yes.
Stricker.
Yes.
Vidlac.
Yes. Claim removed from consent calendar. Council to consider and take action on the claim from Intralinks in the amount of $7,852.82.
I need to declare a conflict.
Okay, so we need to approve.
Move and accept the conflict and
Okay,
Make a motion to approve the conflict with Councilor Phillips.
okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Solomon.
Yes.
McCarrigan. Yes. Stricker.
Yes.
Vidlac.
yes. So council to consider and take action on the claim from Intralinks in the amount of $7,852.82. I have a motion to approve that.
So moved.
I have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Stricker.
Yes.
Vidlac.
yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
McCarrigan. Yes.
Okay, financial report. Council to receive the January 2025 financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Link Zier, Finance Director. I'll start on the first page of that report there. See, from the beginning of the fiscal year, the part that's shaded in gray is where we're at this year compared to last year. See a pretty stark difference between those two. A lot of that was the insurance claims that we had last year. Do you know where to click on that, Lane, to bring it up? I'll give her a minute. Okay, it's her first time. Next one down. There you go. So yeah, so that first number in the gray there, that's where we're at this year from October 1 to January 31. You see we're down $369,000, which really doesn't concern me that much. We haven't got a big chunk of property tax or anything like that yet, so I'm not too bothered by that. Last year, the reason we were up so high last year at this point in time was, for those of you that weren't on the council, was we had our insurance claims for that June 2023 hailstorm last year, and we also had some bond proceeds, so that's why we were at 3.5 million. And then obviously we spent all that money down, had some debt service payments, and now we started to fix some of those insured repairs. So that's where we're at on that. So it doesn't concern me too much. And if you go scroll down to the next page, there you see it for the monthly change in cash, we were up $618,000, and a lot of that was just the sales tax that we had. We had almost $800,000 in sales tax in January, so a lot of that's where that came from. So, and then if you go down the next page too, we'll just look at the budget to actual comparisons. top part is expenditures. Again, you want to see those under 33% at this point in time of the year. And everybody pretty much meets that category except for the perpetual care fund, which that's just a transfer, so those are twice a year. So that's not gonna go over budget, so that doesn't worry me at all. And all that means is that the department heads are doing a really good job of staying within their budget. And then on the downside, on the bottom half of that spreadsheet would be the revenues again too. And you know, like to see those around 33%. Some of them are gonna be, you know, cemetery perpetual care fund, we rely on property tax for. Public safety, we rely on property tax for. And we don't see a big chunk of that until May and September. So they're just not gonna be there yet. And then the last one just compares them to where they are and what they've spent. Obviously, anything in parentheses would be a deficit. Anything not in parentheses would be a positive. So you see we're a little bit down in the general fund and cemetery perpetual, but again, like I said, we don't see those big property tax chunks until later in the year, so. Nothing too concerning, nothing really crazy going on. It's just been a busy couple of weeks with the audit for me, so. That's all I have. If you guys have any questions for me.
Lane, the GIS one is at 50%, nothing unusual.
Yeah, they have is that for on this one?
Yeah.
Or just in general? Because for
Page
their
3.
revenues, yeah, they take a transfer, the GIS department takes transfers from, was it streets, wastewater, and water, I think, off the top of my head. So they take a transfer, so that's one of those twice a years where they'll get 50% of their revenue in January and then the other 50% in June. So,
And then on the top page, let's see, where was it? Wastewater, I assume that's the gates that we voted on a while back.
the wastewater, that was is that truck, is that what they bought, Mark? What did wastewater buy this year? They had a budgeted equipment. A loader is the grader, that's what it was, it's a motor grader.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was, I was gonna say, I knew it was a big ticket item, but yeah, that was just a budgeted equipment purchase that they had right out of the gate this fiscal year, so.
Okay.
I have a question, just
Yeah.
more to catch up the new kid on the block, but, the public safety fund, what is that for? I
So
mean,
public safety,
different than
it would
the
be,
general.
yeah, it'd be police and fire, and I think it's a way to, Kevin, maybe you can answer this a little better than I can, but when we were capped on the general fund with our property tax, we could only take $175,000 in property tax in the general fund. The public safety was a way to kind of separate that a little bit to help with the police and fire departments with capital purchases as well as other just daily operations. Kind of splits it out a little bit. So the public safety would be police, fire, and emergency management too, I believe comes out of that.
So more capital stuff, not the
More capital.
general
The
fund
Little bit-
stuff.
Cars, software,
Okay,
maintenance
I
contracts.
just trying to figure out why there was that and then the general.
Yeah, there's a lot of maintenance contracts too that come out of the general. I'm glad you said that too, Kevin, because I forgot about that. But that was a lot of those annual contracts that go into play with the fire department and the police department too come out of the public safety fund rather than the general fund, so.
On public safety, are we still aiming for trying to add in 2 new squad cars per year? Is that kind of our goal, or?
That's our intent.
Yeah,
At the same time, we have to make sure that those cars are miled out and we're not trading them off too soon.
oh, yeah.
We're in a pretty good spot considering we didn't replace for a couple years actually.
Yeah, for 2 years there, it was almost impossible to get
Get it.
police vehicles.
Is it better now for
It
getting
is,
vehicles?
it's a lot better now this
Okay.
year, so.
About a 90-day
Yeah.
build.
Oh,
I
that's
say we're
much
also back to
better,
a 90-day
much
build
better.
too, rather than a 2-year build, so.
Yeah,
For police cars, I don't know about fire trucks, I think those are still years out probably, but.
They build them as needed, so you order them, design them,
18 months was our last one.
18 months. Yeah,
okay.
it's a long time. You can go visit them usually at the factory too and seeing them moving through the line. Yeah, it's quite a process.
Okay, thanks, Lane.
Yep, thanks guys.
Thanks, Lane.
Okay, do we vote on that, on the finance?
Yeah, we should be able to approve
Okay, okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the January financial report.
A second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions, comments? Okay,
McCarrigan. Yes. Phillips.
Yes.
Vidlac.
yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
Stricker.
Yes,
Petitions, communications, and public input. Council introduction to Region 22 Emergency Management Director Robert Crowder.
evening, everyone.
Hi.
I've got a couple of handouts here.
Thank you.
My apologies, I should have done this before the start of the meeting.
Thanks, sir.
Kevin, a short one, but I will.
You're good, you're good. We can share.
That is just kind of an infographic that Ashley put together before she left, kind of describing some of the services that the office can provide to our stakeholders. And I've got another one here in the calendar. So on the back side of that is also the 2025 public assistance excuse me, indicators that FEMA pushed out. Scottsbluff County is, of course, Scottsbluff would fall underneath that. I don't remember off the top of my head, around $170,000 in public assistance damage before we'd be able to roll that up to the state. So, I'm sorry, sir, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, so you're saying we have to exceed that amount? before the
Yes,
state
we'd have to
kicks
hit,
in.
that is the benchmark for Scottsbluff County, and then the state indicator is about 3.7 million. So
Okay.
if we hit that box and then the state hit their 3.7 million, then we would qualify for a major disaster declaration through the president.
Okay,
So damage assessments are very important. So if we see some of the events like we did last summer, we do our best to try to keep on top of that. In that instance, Scottsbluff County did a declaration, all that. And that event alone did not hit that indicator, but events later in the week on the eastern, I say the East Coast, but on the east side of Nebraska, more than checked that box, and that's what qualified us for that presidential declaration that followed. So, but I wanted to share those numbers with everyone. Next on my little list here, the Scottsbluff County LEOP is got to be updated this year by July 1st. So I wanted to just kind of bring that to everybody's attention, that I look forward to working with you guys on the update for our county plan, and then perhaps updating or creating a new Scottsbluff City emergency operations plan. I know Sydney and Kimball are starting that process, or have just recently completed that process, and I know Ashley and I both felt that it would be nice to see that at every municipal level. So, next on the list, we've been kind of working on the cleanup day with Gary and Terrytown. As part of that, we have a PIO and Command and General Staff workshop that's coming up in April. So I wanted to share that with the council and just try to see if we can get some more of our locals to attend that, so they're in a better position for the exercise and the actual event that we're kind of going along with that. There's kind of a backstory on that. Yes, sir.
so have you picked a specific day in April that you want?
Yes, sir. April 7th, and we're going to host it at the Public Safety Building.
Okay,
What's the training, April 7th?
Yes, it is.
April 26th is the cleanup.
Yes. Yep.
The Scottsbluff Public Safety Building.
Yep, and I've got a flyer here I will leave with you folks, but yeah, we're doing 4 hours of public information officer workshop at the first part of that, and then the command and general staff would be after lunch. So incident command, logistics, operations, that type of stuff, and of course, finance. So, next on my list is we're starting to work on our summer planning and stuff for like the balloon events and the marathon, that type of stuff. And last I've got is, do you guys have any questions for me? It's a cold night, so I don't want to keep anybody out on my behalf. So,
No, thanks for coming in, Rob.
well,
yeah, thank you.
thank you folks for the opportunity.
Done and about to do.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
I've got a calendar and 2023. I'm waiting for the new one in a report from NEMA. And
Thank
there's
you.
the flyer. Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, council to receive an update from the Gearing Senior Center.
They're not here.
Okay.
We'll get them on their next agenda. They didn't want to be out tonight,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Resolution and ordinances. Council to discuss and approve the micro-TIF application for Brennan and Carmen Malm for the 1715 Broadway redevelopment project, and authorize the mayor to sign the resolution.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sharia DeSursa, Economic Development Director. So we have a micro-TIF application before you this evening. Brennan and Carmen Malm have submitted an application for 1715 Broadway for a redevelopment project. That's the old Studio B building. The plan proposes to redevelop an area of the city that the City Council has declared to be blighted and substandard and in need of redevelopment. The plan includes the use of tax increment financing, and the city manager and the economic development director have conducted an expedited review of that, and we recommend approval for that micro-TIF application. So my plan is to go through the micro-TIF checklist, and then Brennan and Carmen are here this evening if you have any questions for them. Okay, perfect. So first things first, an application must be submitted, and that has been done, and they've also paid their fee. We have that in. The application is for a single project. That requirement is also met. It's a single project. The project is in repair or rehabilitation of an existing structure that has been within city limits for at least 60 years. This requirement is met. According to the assessor's website, the building was built in 1912, so it's been around for a while. This is in the original town addition to Scottsbluff, which was platted in the 1900s. The assessor's website, there's a page attached in your packets there. The project is in a county with a population of less than 100,000. That requirement is met. We have 36,000 people in Scottsbluff County. The assessed value of the property when the project is complete is estimated to be no more than 1.5 million, and that requirement is also met. And last but not least, the plan is in line with our city's comprehensive plan. It is zoned correctly, and it is in line with our current comprehensive plan. Any questions regarding the checklist or the micro-TIF application?
Can we ask them questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't know if it's for you or the applicants, but there's a figure of $278,755, presuming that's the value after the project, the renovation, and if so, what's the source for that?
Yes. So that is the current, that's the assessed value after completion that they have on there.
By,
Actually, the increase.
The increased value, isn't that what I said?
The assessed value now is the 157, it's
Yep.
gonna increase by 278.
Oh, and then the
So
total
add-
after completion,
And that-
yep,
Yeah, it's 436.
is 436, 510, yep.
So it's
Okay.
under the 5.
it just didn't seem apparent on here, so, but thanks for the clarification.
Maybe Brendan can.
Yep, you guys come on up here and they can tell you more about the project itself.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to be in front of you. I should introduce the real team, my beautiful wife Carmen and our Director of Fund, Maisie Malm. So we're really excited to be part of the building that has such a history, be down Broadway. And so we're really looking forward to setting that building up for many years to come and hope to embrace its past and prepare it for its future. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Can you just tell us in general what you have planned
Sure.
for the building?
Yeah, we plan to put our insurance operations there, Midfin Insurance, and then we have a safety consulting business called Safety Line Consulting. And then along with, my wife has a Carmen's Creations, which is kind of a, I'm not going to do it justice, but kind of a little boutique.
And when do you project that you want to get started, and how long do you think it'll take to complete?
Yeah, well, we've started that endeavor already. We purchased the building in, I believe, September, and with an agreement for her to get through the sales season to get her retail sold off of the prior owner. And so we took possession on January 1, and we hope to be done by mid-March to end of March. So pretty quick turnaround. Buildings, we believe to be in good bones and pretty quick flip around. Your businesses are all going to be on the
Yes.
street level?
Yep.
Are there apartments up above? Or what's
There's
up above?
a apartment above, yeah. And that tenant is already in place.
So on the diagram, it shows a total of 4,800 square feet, and so that's inclusive of that large rectangle in the front and then the 1,000 in the back. And it says deck. What is
The upper level, there's a rooftop deck. It's technically a secondary roof. The main roof of the original building is still its original, but when they added on, they have a deck out the back of the apartment.
So I take it this is a bird's eye view, and the retail is all one contiguous space on the ground floor?
That's right,
Okay.
yeah. Any other questions?
Other questions?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you remind me the difference between the micro TIF and the TIF? Like there's some
A
different
micro-TIF
thresholds.
as Sheree tried to explain it, it's an expedited process in which those factors that she considered, there's like 5 of them. If they're all present, then you can go through that expedited proceeding, and it's considered a micro-TIF because it's limited in the amount of money when it's done. And that's the 1.5 million, but it has to be blighted substandard. The building has to be in a zone jurisdiction for over 60 years. And there's one more, and I can't think. Yeah, it must align with the comp plan. And if all those factors are present, then they're considered a micro-TIF, is what some people call it, or an expedited TIF process.
So same basic premises, but
Yes, they
less
still
amount
use
of
the
money. And
incremental increase in the value of the property to fund the improvements that are
development,
made.
It'll still be a 15-year program.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's 10, I believe, 10 the maximum. But it'll still go through our CRA, who will issue the indebtedness once, if it's approved. And the CRA does that, and then it'll be funded that way.
But this came straight to you guys. It didn't go through the CRA. So it came straight to you, it'll go back to CRA.
With a regular TIF, it has to go to CRA, then planning commission, back to CRA, and then to you guys. So micro TIFs are a little simpler where they can kind of go, they don't have to go through that process, as Kent explained, and they just come straight to you guys and then they go to the CRA after.
we haven't had very many.
3?
Just
Yeah, I
few.
think this is our 4th, yeah. And it's been in the past like year and a half, we've had several back to back, so they're fairly new to us, but they're a great tool.
Okay.
I have a question, maybe back to the applicants. So the retail part of this, I mean, it seems like there's office, insurance office, but the retail part, do you have a sense of how much that will take? As far as square footage?
Well, it would be the front portion, so I would say, you know, it would be the window frontage of the entry, so if I was to throw a number out, I guess would be 150 square foot, maybe. That's not accounting for our receptionist would also handle any of the transactions that would occur, so it could be 300 to 400 square feet.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Well, I'm glad that it has some retail component to it, so kind of the thing of downtown, I see that as more of a retail and dining and entertainment area but there's a lot of office as well, so the component of that is plus to me, the retail.
Anybody else? Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve to,
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any other comments?
Vidlac,
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Stricker,
yes,
McCarrigan. Yes. Solomon.
Yes.
Council to consider the first reading of the ordinance dealing with residency requirements for members of the Park, Cemetery, and Tree Board.
Yeah, Mayor and council, this is a proposed change to the current ordinance. It changes it from 2 board members living in the county to 3. We currently have 3 in the county, and it's been that way since the end of '22 when Larry Cooper moved out into Cornet Heights. The president, Dan Marshall, is almost a stone's throw from city limits to the east, and then Megan Hayward has lived in the Morrill, Mitchell area. And then Larry in '22 moved out in the county, so this is a fix for that. The other option would be to restrict it to 2 members, and one of them would have to come off the board. Dan is the president. I don't know if Megan holds office, but
She's vice.
she's vice, and Larry is the secretary treasurer. So all very active on the board. It's a 7-member board, so the majority of the members would still live within the city limits. The other things that I would add to consider would be that our parks, cemetery are used by the region. So that's what's before you to consider tonight, so.
I think it's fine.
Discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, I'm gonna make sure everybody got my email, my thoughts that I gave to Kevin. And I'm gonna read these for the record. So it says, this is for the proposal for the, let me find it, the Parks Trend Cemetery Board meeting. Early on when I was running for office, I inadvertently came across this and found it out. So I'll just read the question. I will support having two members in the county and not a third one that does not live in the city, and have a person step down. During my campaigning, I asked citizens their general thoughts of this because I found out on pretty early, and I didn't find one person that thought it was a good idea to have more than two positions outside of the city. I noted Gearing had zero, they allow zero residents outside of the city. And so I don't know the thought process of this when the council in 2005 established this ordinance via ordinance 3839. But I guess one of the practical aspects that I've explained to some people before is if you have a board of 7 and you have 5 can be a quorum to do business. And I realize it's an advisory board, but it's an extension of council. Council is elected by city of Scottsbluff residents, not county residents. They can't. And so I think the idea is that as an extension of that, they should be residents of the city, just like we have to be residents of the city. They help us do work. So I think that with the 7 people and 5 being able to do business, again, just advisory, I understand, but that's not the point. The point is 5 people is a quorum and they can do business. And if 3 people, all which happen to be officers of this board, decide to vote to make a recommendation to council, 3 people outside of the city can give us outvote 2 people that live in the city, and I just don't think that's probably what residents expect. So with that, I would say I would be at the very least okay with the third person at least living in the extraterritorial jurisdiction, because I understand that they are subject to zoning and probably at some point in time will become part of the city with that. But I just can't wrap my head around having somebody that lives near Morrill, closer to Morrill than Mitchell, for example. It doesn't matter the person, it's just where they live. Being on the board, the other option I would consider, if anybody else would consider, is that if it's a business property owner in the city, not just a tenant, and their businesses can move in and out. That's my thoughts, and because it's an extension of city council, that we're elected by city residents, I think that they ought to be that, but I'm willing to, or I'm okay with considering if it's 3 in the extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Just in fairness, this is the duties of the Park, Cemetery, and Tree Board. The board shall consult with and advise the city manager in regard to the development, improvement, and management of the parks and cemeteries of the city. The Park, Cemetery, and Tree Board shall also, upon request by the city council, consider, investigate, and make findings, reports, and recommendations concerning any matter or question involving park trees as defined in this code and street trees as defined in this code, together with any other duties which may be vested in the board by this code. So that's the board's duties.
I think, don't all 3 have a business in Scottsbluff?
I don't know if Larry still has a business. He did for a long time,
I'm not sure.
but 2 do. So.
I mean, they're located in our city. They generate tax dollars, so I mean, I think it's a favorable motion. I don't see why we wouldn't accept them. on
Yeah, I
our
don't see
tree
any
board.
harm either.
No.
Can't quorum is 5 on this board? Is that,
Or a majority would be a
So-
quorum.
so it'd be 4.
Four.
rather than 5.
So it could be 3-1. So if I could, I'll wait.
This is just the first reading.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I guess the thing that also to me is might be a slippery slope, probably not, is that it's probably not good to solve problems by just a change of the ordinance to make it fit our needs. What really should have happened in my mind is in October of '22, the person that moved outside of the city and was then in excess of 2 that lived outside of the city per the ordinance should have probably been forthright and stepped up and said they needed to step down.
And I don't know what the conversations were back then, Jerry. I'm sure there were some, but I have no idea what they were.
Regardless, we are where we are.
Yeah,
and with-
I just don't want a finger pointing at him.
No,
He should
no,
have
it's,
done
no.
something.
There was a different board member that there was a concern about in October of '23 as well, so, and the board themselves talked about it.
Do the 3 in question live in the extra territorial jurisdiction? Are you guys all within a couple miles of the city?
I'm half a mile out.
Yeah. And the other 2, same?
No,
There's one by Morrill,
farther.
Mitchell.
there's one about a mile east of Morrill.
28th Street, Scotts Bluff, just outside, east there. Okay, and then Megan is in the Morrill area.
Okay.
But she also has an office in Scotts Bluff.
Well, she's with the MC Shaft
Yeah,
Yeah,
somewhere in
and very invested in the community,
yeah.
does a lot.
I guess I get all of that stuff, but but my point is that we don't elect, the citizens don't elect this body of people that have a business in town, live in the county, they are residents of the city.
Scott, you have anything you want to add?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll
Okay.
go ahead and read it. Let's make sure we do the 3 readings, I would say for sure. Okay.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, amending Chapter 6, Article 2, Section 111 of the Scottsbluff Municipal Code, dealing with the establishment of a park, cemetery, and tree board by amending the residency requirement for membership of board members, providing for an effective date, and providing for publication in pamphlet form.
Okay. Council reports. This item is intended for council members to update and inform other council members of meetings attended since the last city council meeting. You have updates?
I've got one. So for the zoo. Yeah. So,
Smart.
yeah. The zoo does have a new animal that came last week. It's a new baby. So it's, the details are gonna be coming soon, but, the public should be, I think, pretty happy with it. So that'll be coming this week, they'll announce. They usually like to wait until they've done all the final health checks. And if all the blood work comes back fine, everything, then they announce all the details. But it'll be a nice surprise, and it should be this week. Public will find out on it. Let's see what else. They last bison they have is going to be moved to the Pueblo Zoo, and they're training her right now to get on and off of the trailer, just to get used to that, so it's not stressed in the shipment. They'll wait, of course, until it's warmer, because right now is a horrible time. So that'll be sent pretty soon, and then they're gonna work on getting the cage fixed and updated. And then, not planned, but one of the zookeepers they have is also gonna go to the Pueblo Zoo. So they'll have 2 going, the bison and one of the keepers. And then the annual cleanup days are coming up. They'll have cleanup days at the zoo April 12th and April 26th.
Okay, other updates?
So I did a ride along with the police department, after the fire department on the 8th of February, and that was 2 hours, and that's really not enough to get a sense of how things go. I might request another one, but the time I did get, the person I rode with, a sergeant, it was abundantly clear he loves his job. And probably most people do, and it was, I sensed some good teamwork, with some need for some translation in Spanish, and some, it was just a variety of things. It happened to be just getting ready to decide who I was gonna ride with beside the officer that was a little sick, was a arrest of a person, and in a high-profile case. So I thought, well, this could be a busy night, but it turned out pretty slow. But anyway, I'd like to say hi to the new chief, unless you're doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would like to just take a moment and recognize Chief of Police Chris Brass. It was effective yesterday. So, very excited. She's gonna be a great leader. I think she's gonna bring great common sense and enthusiasm to the police department and take the department in great directions. I think she'll keep our community safe and just do a great job. So I'm really happy about this. I think she's kind of excited too, I hope. So,
Well, congratulations.
That was one of the things that, when I got the little tour before going out, was the person that did the tour showed me all the technology that they said Chief Brass was responsible for, and I was impressed with that stuff, so good job.
Any other updates? Kevin?
we have some lights on order to light up this pathway.
Good.
So we'll get those installed when they come in. We're working on some signage, so we direct people to this door. Midwinter conference, I believe on Sunday. Conference is Monday, Tuesday. So that's it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay.
Kim?
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Phillips?
Yes.
Solomon?
Yes.
McCarrigan? Yes. Stricker?
Yes.
Vidlac?
Yes.